Welcome to Real Business. I'm Andrea Simon, a corporate anthropologist, and with me today is Abe Kasbo, president of Verizoni Worldwide Communications. Today, we'd like to share with you a discussion that Abe and I have been having about social networking, fact or fiction. And so I'm going to introduce Abe first to let him tell you a little bit about it and encourage you to help us better understand your own perspectives on it. So, Abe, thanks for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure, Andy. My pleasure. Social networking is all over the place. So, you turn on the business channels, you open up the, I don't even want to say the newspapers, right? But you do open up the newspapers, and it's all over the place. So people are talking about Facebook, people are talking about Twitter, and we all know the profound impact that Twitter has had on the Iranian Revolution, for example, or the profound impact that the Iranian Revolution has had on Twitter. So, but businesses are still struggling to grasp what all of this means, and just like they were struggling to grasp what the internet meant about 10 years ago. And when I say by the internet, I'm talking about the web. So people were just starting to come on 10, 15 years ago and staking their claim. We're putting up websites. Well, what does that mean? We put up websites. So fast forward 15 years, now we've got Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, we've got Friendster, and you see all these things coming on, and businesses are positioning themselves. Coca-Cola is on, Dunkin' Donuts is on, Starbucks is on. What does this all mean? What does this all mean? So what I'd like to talk about is how businesses can take advantage, how online reputations are really your reputation, and at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is not necessarily social networking, because I'm not sure who relegated the term social networking to the internet, because I think what we're doing right now, you and I, Andy, we're social networking, right? But how is the internet, how are people using the tools of the internet to connect? And then how are businesses using those tools to connect with those people?
Well, Abe, the question that you're raising, whether you and I are social and networking right now or not, you're raising a really fundamental question about people. And as an anthropologist, we always studied what humans did and their culture, and we used to sit around the campfire. And that's where things were passed along, traditions were protected, and the stories that we told are part of the heritage as well as the perception of the future, and that's how young children were raised. So now, to your point, what's different about the internet, and why are people so disturbed by it, and why is Facebook and Twitter so interesting, both for business and society?
Well, Facebook and Twitter, to me, are all about me. Right? So it's my own reality show in a lot of ways. So it's about what's relevant to me. And what's relevant to me and what's relevant to my friends is, and being aggregated in one space is pretty darn interesting. Right? And so I can not only put up my photos, but I could share my opinions about particular products or services. Okay? There's a whole political angle to this, as we all know. So it's all about the relevancy of the audience and being able to say, you know what, this is what's happening in my world. So businesses have to kind of step back and say, okay, now how do I partner with these particular folks who are my customers to let them proselytize for me or let them engage in a discussion about my product?
Well, you're raising some really very, very interesting questions, because rather than see it as a new world that's going to go back to the old gone, and so what does this all mean? So I was fascinated. Twitter has Twitter moms with 16,000 moms who are tweeting. And so Land's End wanted to reach out to them about bathing suits, and I think it was last April. They had a whole day where they had 2,500 or 3,000 tweets going on an hour about Land's End and how you buy the best bathing suit. The moms engaged in it because they wanted to. And so there's something very interesting. There's a Dunkin' Dave who spends his 24 hours a day talking to people about donuts, waffles, and how come Dunkin' Donuts isn't in California. And Comcast responded to the bad press they had, and they have a tweeting going on with thousands, 30,000 plus people who are part of their whole hashtag network. So that this is growing fast. You can put them together easily, but business is all of a sudden discovering that there's a community out there that wants to talk to you and doesn't just want to buy your products, but wants to help create your products.
Sure. And you know, it's interesting because there's a perception out there that social networking is free. Right. Well, you know, the tools might be free, and free is kind of dangerous because there's an underlying assumption that, and you know, I'm seeing this in the mainstream press, that, oh, you know, we can just go on Facebook as a business. Well, you know, let's take this scenario. You know, let's say that your website isn't up to par. It doesn't really convey the breadth and depth of your business. And this is all about, these are behavior issues, right, Andy? So, you go up on Facebook and you start aggregating all these people and inviting them to do something, and then they go, the natural behavior is for them to go back to your website.
That's right.
Now, if they go back to your website and it's not up to par, then that whole social networking effort is really, you know, it's an opportunity lost. So you can't look at social networking as a, you know, as a silo. As, you know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do social networking, because if you're doing social networking, you have to do a lot of other things. So what we suggest is, our work is to take some of what we're calling social networking and integrating it with an overall marketing and public relations strategy, because that's really where it belongs. It does not belong on the outside, on the inside, over here. It belongs within an overall corporate communication strategy.
Wouldn't you say, Abe, though, it's really becoming the essence of who you are as a business? It isn't a sidebar to it, it isn't an ad that you create from a branding perspective. And you know, when you talk about branding, it really is an essence of who you are. It's a big story about why you. And in fact, brands, and the old brands, are beginning to lose value, because in the world of Google, who comes up first may not be the brand, it may be the one who Googles best. And so all of this is changing everything, including the value of the old brand. But if it's the essence of who you are, then you need to step back and take a look at all the different touch points that people can experience you. And it's about the experience, because it's all about human experience. It's not any longer one-dimensional, it's all interactive. Abe, I'm sure you're beginning to see this with businesses as well, where they're beginning to think their entire experience and their identity and the essence of who they are in a completely new way.
You know, Andy, it's not, you're absolutely right. It is about the entire experience. So there's really no separation between the online world and the offline world. Mm-hmm. It's really our world. Mm-hmm. And so the internet's really become yet another tool to reach customers, expand markets, and grow business.
I want to thank you for joining me today. The conversation has really been as interesting as it always is. And I want to thank you for joining Real Business. It's always a pleasure. We have a variety of ways you can communicate with us. You can tweet us, you can IM us, you can go on our blog and comment, but we'd love to hear from you and collaborate with you. Thanks again for joining Real Business.